All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Mortgage Coach 10X interview. I'm interviewing Jeremy Forcier for the 107th time over the course of a decade. And what's up, Jay Force?
What's happening, Savage?
It's good to be on Zoom with you, bringing leadership to this community. I told Jeremy this morning that we have really built an incredible community, and he is such a big part of this community. The value. We were both at the Forward event. Uh, I knew I was going to know some people, but I was shocked how many people came up and they watched this channel. I'd ask them, "What are some of your favorite people?" And constantly, "Oh, Jeremy Forcier, Dan Keller." Uh, you know, there was some common names, and you were at the top of the list, brother. So thank you.
Right on, man. It was super fun. Great event. Super great to see everyone as well. I had a million takeaways. It was a 10 out of 10 in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it was an extraordinary event. Highly recommend it. Anybody who's ever been on the fence of, should I go to this event? Should I not go to this event? You should go to this event.
Yes.
You should get to be part of that community. What Neil has done and his partner, it's a very special community of growing modern mortgage badasses. So check it out. Jeremy, before I ask you your takeaways from the event, just how are you doing? Like how are you faring in this marketplace?
That sounded like a loaded, like, hey, man, how are you doing? Is
I didn't.
everything okay?
It wasn't a therapist. How are you doing? I just
I
thought
know.
it would be a good way to start the call.
Hey, man, how are you doing? I'm doing great. Yeah, no hyperbole, no BS. I'm doing really, really awesome, man. I had a 2 week checkout vacation, which I've only done two in my whole life where I've gone on vacation for that long. Totally checked out, no email, no phone, no calls. Didn't I just completely was off the radar. It was really good for my mental health and business is going really, really well right now. I'm just unbelievably focused on serving. You can't lose if you serve. That's something that Rory Vaden, I think that's his name, Rory Vaden, said from stage at the Forward event, and it really stuck with me. It's like you can't lose if you serve. You just can't. It's impossible. It's impossible to lose if you serve. So I've just been serving lots of people. Been super focused on not only my value prop, but how I want to impact people all year, and it's really showing up in the numbers. So yeah, huge pipeline which I'm unbelievably grateful for. Lots of work, lots of transitions. There's always problems to solve, but the more problems we solve, usually the more successful we are. So I'm a 9.1 out of 10, I'd say right now.
Yeah, and just so folks know the numbers, let's estimate as to how many loans you've been closing on average per month.
Yeah, last couple of months I've been averaging 20 units plus per month. Same with this month. I have a $21 million active pipeline in escrow right now. So things are going really good. The summer that we wanted is here, thank God. But it's not here just because of the market. It's here because of all the things and the processes I've been following for 8 months prior. And that's something I'm really trying to hammer home, Dave, with like my salespeople too, is that a lot of people are asking me like, how are you getting all these loans in a quote unquote a market where there's limited inventory, super competitive still on every good deal, harder loans? And it has nothing to do with what I'm doing right now. It's what I've been doing for 8 months, right? And we just forget that if you want to be a market maker, you have to make that market, but it takes time to make a market. So, yeah, right now, currently crushing, not on life support like I was 8 months ago. So things are really good, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna read a text that Shayla Gifford sent to both Jeremy and I yesterday, and have a little conversation around that. So this is, I don't know if she sent the exact same text to you or just the gist of it, but she, as any great leader, she's preparing to lead her team and she wants to reach out to some other people that get a little pulse check on how they see it. And she said, I have a mortgage leader question. With all of your LOs in the mortgage coach community, what are you seeing in the first half of 2024 compared to first half of 2023? So basically, like,
Yep.
are people doing better? Are people
Right.
doing worse? And who's growing and why? Who's going backwards and why? Um, and then she said, new sentence, is your current results purely an attitude and effort issue or something else? So Jeremy and I had a walk and talk this morning digitally. He was about a 6 hour drive away from me. But we both were walking, talking, wearing our ruck vest, getting after it. And we had a cool conversation around this. So
Yeah.
how do you answer that to Shayla? I'll give my answer and then we'll get into the topic at hand.
Yeah, so she texted me something super, super similar, and we went back and forth a little bit. But here's what I'm seeing is that first half of 2023 to 2024, and she also asked me like, what about like the first half of this year, right, compared to how people are doing currently, like right now? And my answer is the same for both, is that here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing people that are embracing the power of a positive attitude, right? And that are willing to work really, really hard, do the best. But it has to be a combination of both of those ingredients. I have many, many people that I coach as well as that I employ who maybe have been in the business for a really long time. And ironically, they're the most negative. They're the most like not willing to change, not willing to try a different pitch, do something new. But more than anything, their attitude is just stinky pants. It's just like poopy pants. It's not good. And when you have a negative attitude, and I don't think people are doing this on purpose, by the way, right? Like I just think that they aren't
Obviously.
able, yeah, obviously, right? But it just goes, it's worth saying, right? Is that I don't think people ever wake up and go, oh man, today's gonna suck, or I'm gonna be bad at my job today, or every client's gonna be a pain in the ass. Those aren't like conscious thoughts, but I think that people that have maybe been in this a lot longer, my personal opinion is that they're just not willing, right, to take a look in the mirror of what they can do different. Like, how can they approach things different? Now, on the flip side, I have some younger, and when I say younger, I'm talking about both age, but as well as not just age, just newer people to the industry, call it less than 5 years, right? 5 years or less. And those people that are the most open with the most positive attitude are having great results, comparatively speaking. So I'm not seeing numbers. They're not that much better, honestly, collectively within my group, like year over year, which is ironic to me because my numbers are way higher than they were last year.
Like
My
how much
person,
higher? By the way, how much higher?
like 100% higher.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. So
yeah,
you're on track to do over 100 million,
yes,
closing over 20 loans a
yep,
month, and you didn't do over 100 million last
nope,
year.
uh-uh,
So guys, we're talking Jeremy is 40%, let's just say, over last year, and the
yeah.
market is not over 40% last year. You still are the number one
Yep.
market leader in
Number
Sonoma
one
County.
non-bank. There's one person, Sheila. I got to give her credit. Sheila O'Neill. She's amazing. Redwood Credit Union. She dominates. But non-bank, yes, I am the number one person.
Okay, hey, give a nod to the credit union.
She's great. I love her. I hope she watches this. You're awesome, man. You're a great person. So yes,
All right.
but I am definitely up like a lot. And what's
Yeah,
interesting is that my leads aren't up, right? My leads aren't up. So transactions are up though, a lot. And that has to do with positive attitude in serving. That has to do with I'm obsessed with impact and wanting to make sure I have impactful interactions in every conversation, right? And does it happen every single time? No, but I'm aware when it doesn't and I hate it and I want to fix it. I want to make sure that I get back to exactly what I said I'm going to do. So it is interesting though that I'm up a lot and collectively, usually me going up, you would see market trends of other people proportionately going up as well. And I'm just not seeing that right now.
and here's what I told Shayla, and it completely aligns with Jeremy. I am absolutely interviewing people that are up 40%, 50% over last year and gaining market share, but a lot of people aren't who has historically been up. Now, I also said every one of the people that up has a great attitude and is working hard. Agreed. But I know some people that have a great attitude and working hard and they're not up.
Yep,
So I do believe we are moving into a market. We are absolutely in the market, but it's not enough just to have a great attitude and work hard. You got to do the right
totally.
things. I
Yeah.
I actually used a fly fishing analogy with Shayla and said, it's like a fly fishing. You need to work the stream. So that means you need to be walking, you need to be moving, you need to be looking for the right holes. So, and you can't just stick on one hole. You need to know how to cast so you don't scare the fish. You need to know where to cast. And then you got to have the right, like you could do all those things. The fish could be in there, could be throwing it perfectly. But if you don't match the hatch, if you don't put the right fly in front of the fish that they're like, yum, like you could get skunked. And so I think we're in a market, and I think going forward, like match the hatch, work the stream, have a great cast, know where to cast it. That's the market going forward. Any commentary to that, Jeremy?
I agree. No, it's like, and so for all of you that aren't fly fishermen, right? Which I'm not, but I understand the concept, right? It's the same as like a sniper analogy, right? Like it's like looking at the target and being a sniper, being really specific about where you're spending your time, what you're communicating, etc. Our skills have to level up right now, big time. Our communication skills, our value proposition, not just saying value. Like that word is so overused, right? Like value, value, value. But like, really, where are we valuable? And here's how you find out where you're valuable. It's actually really easy is that when you're looking from a market standpoint, you just have to look at what problems do I solve on a daily basis. And I've gone over this training with my salespeople, with my students over and over and over again when they're like, I just can't do X. I just can't, I just can't, I just can't. And I'm like, well, listen, look at your successes. What problems are you solving? What problems are you solving for your customers that translate to problems in the market? And then we have to talk about it more. We don't talk about it enough. It's obvious to us. It's not obvious to anyone else. It's not obvious to the realtor partners. It's not obvious to the customers, to the consumers that are getting qualified to buy a house. So don't be afraid to share it more and more digitally. Don't be afraid to do videos about it. Don't be afraid to do an email blast out to people, to talk about it on the phone. But we have to level up our game on knowing what the market needs are, which are problems you have to solve, which is all your content you can create, and level up on your communication of that.
All right. So before I formally kick off the call, which is going to be what's your value prop, and then we're going to spend how to execute it yourself as a producer, how to help execute as a producing manager, how to lead your team, and then how to help realtors. So the rest of the call is going to be on this. Before I do that, I'm going to fully be unpacking takeaways from the forward event with Sean Kaplan and Brian. Sorry, Brian. With Oh my gosh, I keep wanting to say O'Connor, but anyways, I'm going to have two awesome guests.
Big Bad Brian and Sean Kaplan. It's going to be sick.
There you go. Thank you for bailing me out there, bro.
Hell yeah.
So top takeaways from forward for you. Like what get 5 minutes or less, what was your biggest takeaway from the time you spent at forward event?
I'll be super brief on it, right? And what was cool about the event was that most of the speakers, so let's call it 90%, 85%, right, they're not actually in like mortgage or real estate, right? And so, but they're all in sales, right? They're all in research, they're all in process building systems, etc. And what I thought was just fascinating with all of it, and my biggest takeaway, which is the simplest ever, is get your energy up. Every speaker brought crazy energy. Get your energy up. And when our energy is down, we're just less effective. Like when I was watching some of these speakers and I was thinking, gosh, what if their energy was down? And then I thought, like, gosh, how's my energy like on every single call? Am I bringing the heat like every single time? And the answer is no, I'm not. So that was my number one takeaway was like, get your energy up for sure. Another like really, really simple takeaway for me is that if we are not sharing more information, if we're not serving, right? So serving, you can't lose. I said at the beginning, like you can't lose if you're serving, but you can't serve unless you know who you're trying to help, right? You have to understand who your targets are. You have to understand what's going on in the markets around you so that you can create solutions to problems that people are going to face, even if they haven't faced them yet. So you can preempt that information. One of my other favorite takeaways was Daniel. I keep calling him Daniel A. I think it's Daniel G. Daniel G. He's
Yeah.
gangster. But like I just loved that. Like it's a really simple sentence. Just get back in the conversation. Like when people say no, how do you get back in the conversation? When someone's like, no, 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 I'm not interested, right? I'll give you a great example of this. I have a client who was referred to me. They've talked to 4 different lenders. We've reached out a number of times. Realtor was like, "Did you connect with them?" And I'm like, "Listen, they told us not to follow up, right?" But instead, what I said, "Hey, don't worry, I'm going to follow up again." And so to keep someone in a conversation when they say, "No, we're good, we're good, we're good," and I know they have a problem because they can't qualify for what they want, right? Is I simply reached out and said, "Hey, I know you've talked to 4 other people. All I want to do is show you that there might be a different way to do this. If you're open to seeing a different way that you might be able to do this, I'll happy to give you the best advice possible. There's no pressure at all. You don't have to use me, but I don't think you've like turned over every single rock in your scenario. Let's have a casual conversation." Boom. He's like, "Yep, call me on Sunday." We got back into the conversation. So just when people say no, that doesn't mean that you should just give up. It means that you haven't found a way to connect with them yet on what their pain is. So staying in the conversation, I thought was an excellent takeaway for me. Um, Gary Vee talked about this a lot. Like, no, the people that are the best do not have to be afraid of AI, right? They are going to embrace AI. We're going to learn how to use it more to be way more efficient, et cetera. And building a personal brand around yourself is more important than ever because 2 years from now, there will be transactions happening that are just straight automated based, right? They're just AI based. So making sure that your personal brand, right, is bigger than just the narrative of AI transactions is absolutely pivotal. And then last but not least, like the collaboration of everyone that was at the event, there was no bad vibes. Like everyone was there just to like support each other between Neil, Trev, Shivani, everyone that was leading the event, and then like the community of people. Like collaboration is more important than ever. Like there is no competition when you have collaboration. There is no losing when you serve only, and that's your purpose. Like those were my biggest takeaways from the event.
I love it. And so this Friday, 9 o'clock on the mastermind, we're going to have Brian Covey and Sean Kaplan, goes by Cap, and we'll be unpacking what we thought were the biggest takeaways and focusing the theme of the call is what matters most right now in this market. So Friday at 9, make sure you sign up. Dave Fox just made a point, great stuff. He said another effective way to get back into conversation is, would you be open to a better way?
Yeah.
Or would you be open to another way? There's a lot of ways, but the bottom line is stay in the conversation. So J-Force, let's move into uncovering your value prop, executing your value prop personally for realtors and the people you lead as a producing manager. So what is your USP? What is your unique
Yeah.
sales
So
or
like
value proposition?
like from a value proposition standpoint, right? It's two different things. And one for realtors, one for, consumers, et cetera. Like for realtors, it's really, really simple is I just want to make sure that I can help them generate more referrals, right? Through my client care program. So it's like, listen, something that is unique about me is that we have a client care program, right? We're going to help you generate way more referrals through our proven process. And I'd love to show you that. It goes without saying that we're going to communicate great. We're going to close smooth and on time, and we're going to make you look awesome. That's my number one job. My number two job is to make sure that we can set you up to get the most referrals possible from the people that we serve. And I'd love to show you the way that we do that so I can help you close more deals in less time. So that is like my realtor unique value proposition. And you might be saying, well, what do you do exactly? Well, I mean, I do a lot. Okay. So there's a lot that goes into that. And the reason why you might be thinking, sitting there going, well, what is it? What exact, how do you do it? That's what I want the realtor to say. I want to create mystique. I want to create curiosity. I want to create like them wanting me to tell them more. Well, how are you going to do that? And that's where you can dive deeper into like actually what is your process for your unique value proposition? What are your offerings, right? There's a difference between value prop and offer, right? Offer and features. There's two totally different things, offers and features. Features are just like the things that we do, the process, right? The Tuesday updates, the video email to the client with them included on it. Those are all just features of your value proposition. So that's realtor value prop. Now, for consumers, it's really, really simple as well. It's just that, and I've said this a million times on here, right? Is that I want to make sure that people produce the right strategy to help them accumulate wealth through great advice and responsible homeownership. The reason I'm so passionate about this is because I was given very poor advice, right, early on in my home buying process. And I made a lot of mistakes and early on in my career. So I want to make sure you don't make the same mistakes, and we get you set up with the right strategy to have the best price and cost over time to help you accumulate wealth. So that's my consumer value proposition. Now you might say, well, what do you do to create that? It's the same thing. There's a million things that I do, right, that go into that. But if you want to come up with like what your value prop is, because I will tell you, this is a mistake that many of my previous students have made, as well as salespeople that work with me have made, that I have made too. You have to create your own. Okay. You have to create your own, Dave. Like, if you don't create your own, you're never going to be as passionate about it. You're never going to believe in it as much. You're not going to have the conviction. Like, when you convey that information to someone, they're going to feel it on the other side. You can't just take someone else's value prop and then regurgitate it. It doesn't work. And many people have tried to, they're like, hey, well, I just like yours better. Well, it's like, you don't have to like mine better. You have to explore like what yours is so that you can be the best, so that you can have the confidence, so you can bring great energy. So I'd be happy to walk you through some simple steps that I teach, like to uncover a value proposition. If you'd like, I'd be more than happy to do that.
Yeah. So we're going to do that. Before we do that, I am doing a couple of things. So one, I asked Shayla Gifford last week to do that, and I think we have a 1 to 3 minute video. I asked Daniel Saw to do that a couple weeks ago. And so there's a new playlist in the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, and it's called Sales Training Clips, where I'm trying to make them all under 3 minutes. And they are sales training scripts that you can use. So for anyone that's on this call, whether you're a loan officer and you're training yourself, or whether you're a producing manager and you're training others. And then what Jeremy just said, we will make a clip on that. So I want to play Daniel Saw's 1 minute clip here. Before I do that, I also want to push people that are watching this. Like, this is a good moment. And if you're watching this on video, pause it and just top of mind, write down in a sentence or two, what is your unique value proposition? No judgment. Don't try to make it perfect, but just write down, what is your unique value prop? Forget about Jeremy's. Forget about what I'm going to show you. If anyone does have something already written down and you want to share it in chat, go for it. If you're watching this on YouTube and after you write yours down, you want to share it, that would be valuable to the community. But let's listen to Daniel's and then Jeremy, and then let's workshop this a little bit. So here's a slide, and here's Daniel Saw, super successful mortgage coach in the Columbus, Ohio market. This is his.
The number one value proposition to a consumer is that you help them get a house. So what is the number one value proposition for a realtor to a consumer? Same thing. They help get a house. And so to us, right, when it comes to the value proposition to the realtor, how do we support realtors in helping a client get a house? And we do it by doing two things really well. Number one, we need to get people excited about buying a home. Mortgage rates are high, home values are high. So how do you convey the opportunity as to building equity? What does it mean to be a homeowner? How does that get people excited, right? And so you got to have a process to get people excited about buying a home. And then you have to have a process on how you coach your buyers on different ways to win against multiple offer scenarios. So my value proposition to realtors right now is, when they send a client over, we're going to get them super excited about buying a home, and we're going to coach them on what it takes to win.
So in a couple notes, a lot of people know this. Daniel would say his favorite coach is Jeremy, and Jeremy would say one of
He's
his
the best student. He's the best student I've ever had. He could have coached me. He should coach me. He is incredible.
Yeah. But guys, get clear on your value prop, and then also know that there's some tailoring that goes on based off of customers' needs. And Denise Donahue, when she watched the interview, she texted me the next day. She's like, I love that. Mine is very similar. And then she added what Jeremy does. She goes, I help people make the best mortgage decision to build wealth with real estate faster. So, but guys, it's all about making it yours. And then we're going to spend a lot of this call executing. Okay, now that you've got a great value prop, how do you communicate it? How do you train to do it better? And how do you execute on it? So Jeremy, I throw it to you now to start the workshop and the process, of helping people uncover theirs.
Awesome. So I have a document with this on it as well that I'm happy to make available, of course, with really simple like guidelines on how to do this. So in the document, like the first thing is understanding your market and customers. Like that's number one. Like understand your market and customers. So if you can understand your market and customers, who you're targeting, like including customer needs, preferences, pain points, you have to write all that stuff down first, and you have to understand like what drives your customers, their challenges, and how your product or how your service, how your solutions, I always like to say, like what are my solutions, how your solution addresses them. Like that's the first step, right, when uncovering your unique value proposition. Now step two is a competitor analysis. And this is where I think people go off the deep end and they overthink it, over research, over everything. But it's just taking a look at like the landscape of your competition, right? Like study your competitors. I think that that's something that we don't do enough. Like I'm always fascinated. I'm not studying them in a negative way. I'm going with a positive learning attitude. Like I love to see like what Rocket's doing all the time. I love to see what like UWM's doing all the time. I love to see what different companies are doing product wise, et cetera, like, or how they're articulating the same exact loans that we all have, but calling it something different, right? I think that that's really important to do a competitor analysis. What are their offerings? What are their marketing strategies, right? How are they positioning themselves, right? Versus how you position yourself. And if you do that, you can identify gaps in their offerings that your product or your service can fill in areas where you can excel. So I'll give you an example, right? Like I live in jumbo land, right? So do I have competitive pricing? Sure, I do. Do I have like better than like a private wealth manager with someone who has a whole bunch of money and can put $1 million and get 0.75% under what the current market is? I do not, right? So my competitiveness and the gap that I can fill there are loans that don't fit in a normal box, right? Bank statement jumbo loans, self-employed borrowers, DSCR loans, things that are like over 43% DTI, right? Stuff like that is like very unique to me. And that is a lot of the type of jumbos that I do. So like knowing what your competitor analysis is not a negative thing to make you feel like you have no chance. It's to show you where you can fill in the gaps, right? Where you can go in, fill in some of those gaps in those so that you can have better targeted conversations and get to a yes, no, or maybe faster. So that's number two is competitor analysis. Number three on the list is identifying your core strengths. And what I wrote down here was like reflect on your product or service strengths, right? Solution strengths. Reflect on your product, service, or solution strengths. This is you personally. Consider what sets it apart from others. Is it the quality? Is it the price? Is it the features? Is it the customer service? Is it all of those? Is it any other unique aspect of something that your core strengths? How are you different as a human being? Personal brand. Think personal brand. And your unique value proposition should reflect all of these strengths, right? So that's really important to do is to know what your strengths are. Take time to write down, like, what do I do really well, right? What do I do really well? What do I do that's different? And what are my strengths so that you can communicate those strengths to other people? The fourth thing that I wrote down here is you have to do this in order, by the way, you can't skip steps, is number four is creating a compelling message, right? How do you create a compelling message going through these first three things? So combine your understanding of your market. Well, it's combining one, two, and three. Competitors, strengths to create a clear, concise statement, right? Good people deserve great advice. I believe in helping people accumulate wealth with the best strategy through responsible homeownership. That is like a really simple, unique value proposition based on the analysis that I've done for myself. This should communicate like how your product, your service, your solutions meets a need better than a competitor's. This is key though, without slandering competitors. Okay, as soon as you slander a competitor and you say, this is why I'm better than them, you're giving the competitor more power. I just want to point that out from a sales psychology standpoint. There is never a need to slander a competitor. There's never a need to say that they don't know what they're talking about. There's never a need. All you have to do is show your value, show your strengths, and then where you're going to fill in the gap without having to directly attack anyone. It's really important. You guys don't miss that. Number 5 is test and refine. And this is where I like suck, just so you guys know. I'll just always be honest, open, and transparent. I'm not a great tester. I'm a good refiner over time, but I'm not a good structured tester. So if you share your unique value proposition with a sample group of your target audience or existing customers to gather feedback, refine it based on responses to ensure it resonates and it's effective. I want to give you another example here. I did do this actually structured years ago, right before the pandemic, as to why realtors work with me, right? So I sent out a survey, and I thought that people like worked with me because I am kind, I have good energy, and positive attitude. You know, yes, I'm good at my job, but really it was like my thought was more around like likability, and I couldn't have been more wrong. Like the number one answer that came back on over 88% of the surveys that were turned in was whatever Jeremy says he does, and he always gets it done. Whatever Jeremy says he does, and he always gets it done. I couldn't believe it. I was like, why haven't I been communicating that like for the previous 10 years? I'm like, hey, it's no pressure. It's all good. But it turns out they're like, Jeremy just gets shit done. Like he literally says he's going to get done, and it gets done every single time. And that is true. I never lie to people. I tell someone when there's an issue, how we overcome it, how do we get to the finish line. So that was something I had to add into my UVP. If you noticed on the Realtor, it was like I close on time and smooth with great communication, right? Like that, I had to add that in, right? Rather than just helping them get more referrals and helping them look great, I had to add in what the feedback was from the sample group. It's the only time I've actually done a structured test, and I should probably do it more now that I say that out loud. And then number 6, which is the last one, is incorporate this into your marketing, right? So if you notice, like, if you've seen on my stories or on my posts, sometimes there's like, I have like a little video type room podcast set up, and in the back it says good people deserve great advice. It's everywhere for me, right? So making sure that you integrate it into all your marketing, all your sales materials, including your website content, advertisements, sales pitches. Consistency reinforces unique value in the minds of your customers. And this, I fail at this too all the time. Okay, is that we think because we know that it's obvious and we don't have to repeat ourselves all the time. We have to repeat ourselves all the time. Dave is a great example of this. He repeats like the trust engine unique value proposition all the time. You have to remind and re-remind everyone. And also, there's new people that are always looking at your stuff. They have no clue who you are and what your unique value proposition is. So if you follow those first 5 steps, then it just becomes a consistency of communication. Call it quote unquote a script if you want, but being able to communicate that effectively ongoing is critical in making your unique value proposition really pop.
So, Jeremy, will you forward that document?
Yep.
And we'll put a link to the document. Also, I have been putting a lot of time and energy to help mortgage coaches who are delivering tangible advice to consumers who are more valuable than ever to realtors. One, tune up their value prop. So I'm going to create a few slides that will help you guys drive this process. And then also help you upgrade and fine tune the value prop of your agents and then your collective value prop. So it's important that the agent, especially the buyer agents, have upgraded their value prop. And I think listing agents need to revisit their value prop as well. And then collectively, how do we together tell this amazing story where, you know, they're playing the guitar, we're playing the piano, or vice versa, and we're making this beautiful song together where the consumer, you know, is, you guys are like the obvious choice for me to do business with. And you are the obvious choice for me to pay 2.5% to 3% buyer's agent commission. Where do I sign? Let's go. And so I think it's more important than ever to do that. So Jeremy, if you want to talk more about loan, like I think we've talked about loan officer value prop, at some point, we're a little bit over halftime. I'm going to want to talk about how you're providing leadership to your own team. But to me, almost more important than that is how are you working with realtors to unify your collective value propositions? Do you want to do that first, or do you want to talk about what you're doing with your team first?
No, yeah, Unify is fine with the realtor value prop. So, um, when you're working with agents and how you want to unify is that you have to be seen as a team. You have to be seen as the dynamic duo. You have to be seen as that, like, you come together in partnership. And it's never going to be perfect. So I want to make sure I paint this picture correctly because I don't want anyone to think that, like, yep, every realtor is going to do it the same way and it's going to feel like hoorah. It's not. Okay. But you have to keep talking about it with them over and over and over again. So how I get my realtors to communicate like the team aspect, it always is going to come down to a process, by the way. Like, attack the process works over everything rather than attack the problem or attack like the result, attacking the process. So a simple introduction, the way that like I want all of my realtor partners to introduce me. I have a template that I've created that makes us an obvious team, right? That we work together, that we are one and the same, that handle two separate sides of a transaction. And whenever they use this introduction template, my conversion is way higher. When they don't use this introduction template, guess what? The conversion is lower. So working with them to make them understand that, hey, if you want to get more of what you want, here is a really simple way to introduce. Like, that is a very, very easy way to show consumers that we are a team and that we have the same values. And there's wording in there, right? That, hey, Jeremy and his team are the best in the business. We've, worked on many transactions with them. They're going to give you the best advice humanly possible with no pressure, et cetera, et cetera. Like, there's words in there that are in alignment, right, with my value proposition that also brings them into the fold as part of that team. I think that's number one. But number two, that's even more important, is that understanding and helping your agent partners know what their unique value proposition is. And this is a bigger undertaking because it takes them time, right, to actually go through the exercise that I just went through with you. But I think that they don't have a great understanding, Dave, for the most part, of what is their unique value proposition. So having a workshop on this for your agents could really help them be on the same team. There's no better, I'm going to call it a negative positive, like voicemail or interaction that I get is when a realtor partner calls me and goes, I'm so sorry. I cannot get them to talk to you. I really think that they should be working with you. That's when you know that your values are in alignment, right? When someone else is upset that this person won't get with you, that they won't talk to you because they know that working with you guys together is going to provide like the best possible outcome. So helping them like understand what their unique value proposition is really important. And I did this on my realtor calls a few weeks ago before I went on vacation, is I asked a handful of these agents that I work with, like, hey, so what's your unique value proposition? Like, why, when someone asks you why I should work with you, like, what do you say? And here's the crazy thing, you guys, not one person had something. Not one. Not one had like a statement. Not one had, of course, they said things. They're like, oh, well, I negotiate great. Right? It was all the features. It was just the features of like working with them. No one had an actual value proposition. That's not true. There was one, Mr. Sullivan, right? He's like vintage service the way it should be, which I thought was really cool. So I shout out to Rob Sullivan. He's fantastic. He's got a great value proposition statement. So then he can go into the features of what does vintage service looks like, right? So I thought that his was actually killer, but everyone else I talked to was like, what do you mean? I
Yeah.
I don't know what you mean. And I'm like,
You want
oh,
to, yeah, I had Tim Lamb, who is in the state of Iowa, and in Iowa, they're ahead of NAR. They actually enacted required buyer agent contracts last week, the 1st of July, and he did a value prop with workshop with realtors, and I loved what he did. He had everybody kind of write it down, like just give me, write down bullet points. Then he asked one person, "Hey, pick one of those items," and I'm a great negotiator, and he said, "Does anyone else have that on their list?" Everybody raised their hands. He goes, "Okay, someone else, tell me your unique value prop." They, like, I'm a market expert. I have pocket listings. He's like, everybody else, did anybody else have that on their list? Anyways, he did 3 rounds of that, and everybody, said the same thing.
yeah.
So guys, and by the way, I mastermind with Tim. I don't know if it was last Friday or the Friday before. It's in the YouTube channel. I think it's called realtor value prop workshop with Tim. Check it out. It was valuable. So guys, do you believe this? I interviewed Dave Childers yesterday, and it's a Tom Ferry quote, and he literally said the NAR settlement is the opportunity of a lifetime. Like if you are
Yep.
in real estate, in mortgage, I'll actually pull up the quote here in a minute because I have it. Tom Ferry is saying this is the chance of a lifetime. Do you align with that?
Yes, 100% I do. Because if you can be, let's call it 10% of people will master how to talk about it. If you can be one of the 10% of people that master how to talk about, you're going to be ahead of 90% of everyone else. Right. So I do think that it is the absolute opportunity of a lifetime for realtors. If you can figure out how to articulate it while everyone is scared. See, when there's blood in the streets, right, that's when you go all in. When everyone's afraid, you should probably pay attention and figure out how to solve that first. And that is exactly what's happening right now, right? People are afraid. People are afraid of the first conversation. People are afraid that people are not going to work with them and they're going to say, hey, we're just going to go to the listing agent. People are definitely concerned about all of this, but rather than be concerned, you have to look at it as a problem. So whenever I'm afraid of something, I like brainwash myself and I go, I'm not afraid. What's the problem? Right? I'm not afraid. What's the problem? And then if you can separate like the fear from the problem, if you can figure out what the problem is, you can always plan on how to fix it. Right. And if you can figure out how to plan on how to fix it, then you can execute the performance, run the play, right, on how you're going to fix it. And then that's when you get the payoff. So I think that it is an opportunity, huge, gigantic opportunity. Those that figure out how to communicate this effectively, fastest, are going to win the most.
So guys, here's a takeaway. This is the actual quote from Tom Ferry. I'm 3 decades into the business. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. No different than when you look back over history of all great businesses. Most of them started in recessions, depressions, or moments of change. This is not a recession or a depression. This is a moment of change. So think about it. Like, first of all, the energy that comes with that, like if you are a mortgage professional and you rally behind, I mean, it is a seismic shift. Where the sales process starts for a mortgage professional with a home buyer has been redefined. Like it's sooner. Where the sales process starts for a realtor is redefined. Like before they show homes, they need to have a contract in place. They need to negotiate comp and get something signed. So this is all being redefined throughout the industry. And so just guys, we got another, 18 minutes, but if you can get your head around that, huge opportunity, like the salmon are running, be meeting with realtors, be bringing leadership with realtors, make sure that you have your value prop super tight, make sure that you're helping them elevate their value prop. And then most importantly, make sure that you are in their value prop. Like if you can, they start making the promise that I'm going to help you build wealth with real estate by making better decisions. And I have a mortgage partner. Like if that becomes one of those bullet points, guys, think about how many more referrals you could get. Like Jeremy, this is your opportunity to take out #1 credit union in your market. So whoever that is, I'm not, sicking Jeremy on you, but like opportunity.
Sheila, you're awesome. You're way ahead.
Yeah. So we got about 15 minutes left. I've got some things I want to go through. What are you doing for loan officers? And what for loan officers that want to upgrade their value prop? How are you helping your region? At the core, you're a core coach. I know you guys do events. What are you doing to help loan officers in this market? Just so any producing managers could get some notes from how you're doing this.
Yeah. So a couple things. One is that like this unique value proposition, we actually started this because, the core of the coaching program that I'm in, that I am coached in, and that I'm a coach for, they asked us to reevaluate this, right? They were like, hey, we need to reevaluate this unique value proposition. It has to be simple. So like I'm hats off to them for like making me go through the exercise again and be able to refine. But I walk my loan officers through this same exact process I just went through with you, Dave. Like I go through, I teach this. This is exactly what I teach. And what I find is that most people really struggle, and they're like, I just don't know like what my value is. Like why am I unique? They just have a hard time with that. So I did a fun exercise, which you guys can all do as well. It's two parts. One is I want you to look at all the loans that you've closed like over the last year. And it depends on how many loans you've closed, right? Like most of the LOs that work with me, like they're not closing more than 2 deals a month, like over the last year. It's just a fact. So when you look at that, you go, okay, look at all the loans you closed over the last year. Now, if you're closing like 10 plus loans a month, just look over the last 6 months, right? And just look at all the different scenarios and think about what you had to overcome on every single one of those. That's an easy way to identify how you solve problems, right? And how you create solutions for individuals is just by looking at the work you've already done. So that's number one, an easy step to find out like, okay, I did this, I did that, I solved this problem. This person was in multiple offers and they wanted their payments to be, $900 less than what it was going to be. So I showed them a 2-1 buy down, how to offer more and get a credit and have their payment lower and offer the seller the most money. That's an example of like solving a problem for the client as well as solving a problem for the person selling the house. So go through and look at your transactions and just write down the different scenarios and the problems that you solved. That's going to make it more apparent for you, a lot more clear of how do I solve problems in real time in the market right now. That will be really, really, really helpful for you. The second thing, which is really fun, and I have a document here called Jeremy One-Liners, Value Propositions. And this is an exercise that I have assigned to a ton of my coaching students in the core that I've signed to my loan officers, is like write down things that you believe or that you say all the time. And it's easy. I created my initial list in like 2 minutes, right? So in my list I'm looking at right now, like things I say all the time. I believe good people deserve great advice. I believe in art and science. I believe in facts over feelings, but I know that both are important. I believe in having standards over feelings. I believe that it's simple. It is easy. Wealth accumulation through responsible homeownership. Strategy trumps all. I keep things simple, but I'm a nerd and I'm happy to help get as granular in the details as you would like. I will always have your best interests at heart. I treat your loan as if it were my loan. We do the hard work up front to make it stress-free as possible on the back end. We work as a team so that you can be taken care of on a very high level. I could keep going, you guys. I have like 45 of these that I just brain
So
dump.
you're gonna share the Jeremy isms?
Yeah,
You
of
know,
course.
yeah.
Of
So
course.
guys, we'll get that document. We'll have a link down below, Jeremy isms, and whoever you are, you need to have your isms. And
Yes.
you and then guys, you need to execute on this. Like
Yes.
Jeremy, what percentage of your clients get a mortgage coach experience?
100%.
100%, guys.
A
Like,
100%.
like so, before I share some thoughts I have, because I want to help everybody really execute on this once in a lifetime opportunity. When is the next core event? I know you guys have an upcoming
Yeah.
event that you're bringing in the market. When is it and what is it?
Yeah, we have a killer 1-day event called the Sales Mega Marathon. It's all about sales. It's all about sales. It's for realtors and mortgage professionals. There's 4 breakout classes for realtors outside of the main general session. There is 4 breakout classes for mortgage individuals. It's on August 9th in Dallas, Texas. I have a coupon code too that I can send to you, Dave, to receive a 30% discount on this using my
Sweet.
code. So it's really killer. Now, the thing that's different about core events that just everyone needs to know if you're not exposed to it, it's a great 1-day event, all sales, right? But it includes all your meals as well. So breakfast, lunch, heavy hors d'oeuvres, after party afterwards. It includes everything. Your ticket price for $650 after the discount includes all of that. It includes everything. So you can be engaged the whole day. We don't believe in sending people off into the ether on breaks and losing you. We want you to be around everyone and collaborate and ask questions. You get a full event workbook with the handouts from all the classes. And then we always stay around after all the coaches, presenters, etc., after the event is done to talk for as long as you want, all the way until midnight. So it's really important for anyone to know that that's interested. I'll send you a link and a code if anyone's interested in doing it, but it couldn't come at a better time, right? Where we need to define like what do we represent in the market and how do we be effective? That's all that's all I'm about. That's all we're about in the course. How do you be effective? That's it.
So guys, we'll have a link down below. If you're watching this in YouTube, there'll be a link down below. Jeremy, if you do have the link, share it in
Yeah.
chat right now, just so we can
Okay.
get it to folks
Yeah, no
live.
problem.
I'm going to share about 3 minutes of thoughts. So while you share that, again, Jeremy's given tons of gold. I'm not going to play the Daniel Saw value prop, but think about what Jeremy's said. Think about Daniel's value prop. Think about the most successful loan officers. Think that this is a once in a career opportunity.
Number one
Is a fee worksheet a great way to get someone super excited about home ownership, show them how to build wealth with real estate, and a process to help them win in multiple offer situations? I mean, the answer is no. Like, if you are not delivering a mortgage coach experience to everyone, this is from the last interview I did with Jeremy. Are you still doing this commission options TCA? Is that still a pretty
You know
common?
what's funny is, I mean, I've done it, like I've done the one to many with it a bunch of times, but it really hasn't come up yet for me
Okay.
on
What
an
are some of
individual.
your most common TCAs right now in this market that, are you doing cost of waiting? You doing rent versus own? What
Yeah,
are
the
some
the
common
most
ones?
common ones that I'm doing are more around buy down strategies, 1-0 buy down, 2-1 buy down. And then 40% of my business right now, just in my personal market, I know it's different everywhere, you guys, is like, how do I buy now and refinance later? Meaning, how do I buy
Right.
like before I sell my
Buy
house?
without selling. Buy without.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. In
Buy
our
before
last,
sell.
yeah. And guys, we did an interview with Jeremy. I don't know if it was weeks ago, maybe a month ago. It was insane. He walked through all these strategies. We'll share some of the links to Jeremy's TCAs down below. But guys, it's never been
This is
more
a
important.
typical.
Say that again, Jeremy. Oh, it's
No,
never
that was
been
my
more
video.
important to be an advisor, give people a mortgage coach experience. And then another super important thing in this market, tell me your thoughts, Jeremy, is it's never been more important to make the most of your database. Like
100%.
making sure, like if Amazon got in the business, they would be incredibly predictive with the data. They would be anticipating and predicting who's most likely to buy, sell, and refinance. And then they would be digitally engaging with that consumer. And then they would be measuring and optimizing for conversion. And of course, they would be delivering a really valuable, slick consumer experience that has obvious value to the consumer and removes friction from confusion. How can you remove friction from confusion? So I don't know if you've seen our new app, Jeremy, but I'm gonna demo it real quick. It's called the Trust Engine app, and what we're doing is one, we're giving you more insight on your database. So all these contacts in your database, we're putting more to you. And right now, like even if you have trigger alerts, you're getting inquiries. Like that's someone who, they're already cheating on you. Listing alerts, they already put their home on the market. Equity alerts, like these are all a red ocean. And so what we're doing is we're monitoring your database for eligibility, who's eligible right now, who has the highest propensity score, and then we're digitally engaging with that consumer. Like this is not a journey that becomes noise. This is like a 2, 3, no more than a 5-day burst where we start digitally engaging with that consumer, and it turns on, turns off based off of data needs. And then we're sending that message to the consumer. And at the same time we send that message to the consumer, we put it in our mobile app. So I'm going to demo this real quick. Jeremy, this is what I was talking about when we were doing the
Sweet.
walk and talk, and I would love to know what you think of this. So remember, guys, in your database, it's about 1% of your leads. You should be calling them right now. Like it is a good time to call. We're ranking them based off of propensity and qualifications. When you click on one of these links, so I'm going to click on this one as a loan officer, there's a button to email, text, call. We're always coaching. There's a link to scripts. We're have an evolving integration of Mortgage Coach. if the consumer started engaging on your digital interaction, you're going to know it, and it's going to raise the propensity score. All the data you need in your phone to contact that client, have a quality conversation with that client, and then, of course, exactly what to say. What to say if you call them, what to
Wow,
say if you text them. I click
dude.
on text, I copy the text, I click on send text, I copy paste, boom. Literally, I'm not advocating that you do this at stoplights, but you can literally, at the time that you'd be at a stoplight, you can engage with someone in your database. Any thoughts on that, bro?
Savage. That is savage. Savage made a savage thing. Oh my God. That are you gonna tell me it's enterprise only?
Of course, bro. No,
Ah, CCM, listen. We got, oh my God. That is savage. Oh my gosh, man. It takes all the guesswork out of everything.
yeah.
Like that was my number one takeaway, is that I'm always looking how to be effective, and that's all I'm ever focused on. But the reality is, once you're effective, then you got to look for efficiencies. Sometimes I'm not the best at that, by the way. Like, that is the most efficient, effective thing I have seen in the market to date. Like that. I mean, imagine, we all wonder, like, oh, who should I call on my past clients? And we don't call our past clients. Oh, they have 3.25%. Well, you have a vetted rating system. What? Like, you have a system that says, hey, this person's the most likely to do something, or to need your help, or to have a conversation. I mean, we should talk offline. That is
Yeah,
incredible.
we'll talk offline. I mean, you guys already have an enterprise relationship with Mortgage Coach, and it would be easy to make this you know, a burger with your fries. So
I want some burger.
yeah, there you go. Or taco. Well, I'm talking to Jeremy Forcier, so it'd be tacos, everybody.
Yes,
So yeah.
that is
All
true.
right. Well, we got 3 minutes left. If anyone has any questions, put them down below, because this will not be the last opportunity we have with Jeremy. And by the way, the app is called the Trust Engine app. You can download it from the Apple Store, but you can't use it unless you're an enterprise partner. I will put a link down below. There is a web page. It's also, if you go to Savage Insights, it's at the very top of Savage Insights, where you can actually demo that on a web page. So Jeremy, if you want to like check it out, play with it, and then executives, if you want to get a meeting with me and learn more about it, there's a way to schedule a demo. So do that. But Jeremy, closing thoughts, bro.
Be happy, be kind, be vicious, attack the process. Like, know what you are valuable at. It's really important. And we're all different. Please don't copy my value proposition. Not because I care. You can feel free to use whatever you want from it. But if you want to be really effective, like, get really clear on your value prop and start incorporating that into all of your interactions with people. This is a huge opportunity right now. And I don't say that frequently. I don't say huge opportunity. There's always opportunities around us, but I feel like we have a really huge one right now. If you can understand like what your values are and how you can communicate that to other people, because everyone sounds the same right now. Everybody sounds the same. Everyone's saying I can close in 17 days or 15 days or whatever it may be. But if you can really articulate how you're going to help people and solve their problems they don't know exist yet, by the way, problems they don't know exist yet, and you can provide solutions to those pains, that's where you're really going to win the rest of the year in this market.
I love that. And since we got so many questions on the app, I just put a link in chat. And just want to remind folks, always, whatever the goal is, like, actually, I was wrong. The sign up for today's call was at the top. But in a few minutes, interactive demo to the Trust Engine app. This is a web page where you can actually just follow along, click through it. You can play with the app, Jeremy, so you can see this. And then, of course, for executives that want to learn more, click Let's Talk. Jeremy, you can text me if you want to talk more about it.
Awesome.
Guys, we put a link to the next core event with Jeremy's discount code. Make sure you put Forcier 24. That's Forcier. Sometimes I even spell his name wrong. With 24, check out the core mega marathon. Don't miss that, guys. Jeremy, dude, you're the man, bro.
Hey,
Appreciate
man,
you.
I love you, man. You guys have a great day. Go crush it.
Get after it, everybody. Take care.
Later,
This is a
guys.
wrap.